The tree alphabet. 1. I first found the Beth Louise Nyan tree alphabet in Roderick O'Flaherty's Ogygia. He presents it with the Bible Loth as a genuine relic of Druidism orally transmitted down the centuries. It is said to have been laterally used for divination only and consists of 5 vowels and 13 consonants. Each letter is named after the tree or shrub of which it is the initial. Beth B. Birch, Lewis L. Rowan, Nyan N. Ash, Fern F. Alder, Salil S. Willow, Uth H. Hawthorne, Dewar D. Oak, Tin T. Holly, Cole C. Hazel, Moon M. Vine, Gort G. Ivy, Pethbach P. Dwarf Elder, Ruis R. Elder, Elm A. Silver Fir, On O. Firs, U. Heather, Ida E. White Poplar, Idaho I. U. The names of the letters in the modern Irish alphabet are also those of trees, and most of them correspond with O'Flaherty's list, though T has become gorse, O broom, and A elm. I noticed almost at once that the consonants of this alphabet form a calendar of seasonal tree magic, and that all the trees figure prominently in European folklore. The first tree of the series is the self-propagating birch. Birch twigs are used throughout Europe in the beating of bounds and the flogging of delinquents, and formerly lunatics, with the object of expelling evil spirits. When Guyon writes in the Cadgadoo that the birch armed himself, but late he means the birch twigs do not toughen until late in the year. He makes the same remark about the willow and the rowan, whose twigs were similarly put to ceremonial use. Birch rods are also used in rustic ritual for driving out the spirit of the old year. The Roman lictors carried birch rods during the installation of the consuls at this very same season. Each consul had 12 lictors, making a company of 13. The birch is the tree of inception. It is indeed the earliest forest tree, with the exception of the mysterious elder, to put out new leaves. April 1st, in England, the beginning of the financial year, and in Scandinavia, its leafing marks the beginning of the agricultural year because farmers use it as a directory for sowing their spring wheat. The first month begins immediately after the winter solstice, when the days, after shortening to the extreme limit, begin to lengthen again. Since there are 13 consonants in the alphabet, it is remarkable to regard the tree month as the British common law lunar month of 28 days defined by Blackstone. As has already been pointed out, there are 13 such months in a solar year, with one day left over. Caesar and Pliny both record that the Druidic year was reckoned by lunar months, but neither defines a lunar month, and there is nothing to prove that it was a lunation of roughly 29 and a half days, of which there are 12 in a year, with 10 and 3/4 days left over. For the 1st century BC, Coligny calendar, which is one of lunations, is no longer regarded as Druidic. It is engraved in Roman letters on a brass tablet and is now thought to be part of the romanizing of native religion attempted under the early empire. Moreover, 28 is a true lunar month, not only in the astronomical sense of the moon's revolutions in relation to the sun, but in the mystic sense that the moon, being a woman, has a woman's normal menstrual period. Menstruation is connected with the word moon of 28 days. The Coligny system was probably brought into Britain by the Romans of the Claudian conquest, and memories of its intercalated days are said by Professor T. Glyn Jones to survive in Welsh folklore. but that in both Irish and Welsh myths of the highest antiquity, a year and a day is a term constantly used, suggests that the Beth Louise Nyon calendar is one of 364 days plus one. We can therefore regard the Birch month as extending from December 24th to January 20th. L for Lewis. The second tree is the quickbeam, tree of life, otherwise known as the quicken, rowan, or mountain ash. Its round wattles spread with newly flayed bull's hides were used by the Druids as a last extremity for compelling demons to answer difficult questions, hence the Irish proverbial expression to go on the wattles of knowledge, meaning to do one's utmost to get information. The quickbeam is also the tree most widely used in the British Isles as a prophylactic against lightning and witches' charms of all sorts. For example, bewitched horses can be controlled only with a rowan whip. In ancient Ireland, fires of rowan were kindled by the Druids of opposing armies and incantations spoken over them, summoning spirits to take part in the fight. The berries of the magical rowan in the Irish romance of Freoth, guarded by a dragon, had the sustaining virtue of 9 meals. They also healed the wounded and added a year to a man's life. In the romance of Darmood and Grain, the rowan berry with the apple and the red nut is described as the food of the gods. Food of the gods suggests that the taboo on eating anything red was an extension of the commoners' taboo on eating scarlet toadstools. For toadstools, according to a Greek proverb which Nero quoted, were the food of the gods. In ancient Greece, all red foods such as lobster, bacon, red mullet, crayfish, and scarlet berries and fruit were tabooed except at feasts in honor of the dead. Red was the color of death in Greece and Britain during the Bronze Age. Red ochre has been found in megalithic burials both in the Preseli Mountains and on Salisbury Plain. The quickbeam is the tree of quickening. Its botanical name, Fraxinus or Pyrus acaparia, conveys its divinatory uses. Another of its names is the witch, and the witch wand, formerly used for metal divining, was made of rowan. Since it was the tree of quickening, it could also be used in a contrary sense. In Danan, Ireland, a rowan stake hammered through a corpse immobilized its ghost, and in the Cuchulainn saga, 3 hags spitted a dog, Cuchulainn's sacred animal, on rowan twigs to procure his death. The oracular use of the rowan explains the unexpected presence of great rowan thickets in Rügen and the other Baltic Amber Islands, formerly used as oracular places, and the frequent occurrence of rowan, noted by John Lightfoot in his Flora Scotia, 1777, in the neighborhood of ancient stone circles. The second month extends from January 21st to February 17th. The important Celtic feast of Candlemas fell in the middle of it, February 2nd. It was held to mark the quickening of the year and was the first of the 4 cross-quarter days on which British witches celebrated their Sabbaths, the others being May Eve, Lammas, August 2nd, and All Hallow Eve, when the year died. These days correspond with the 4 great Irish fire feasts mentioned by Cormac, the 10th century Archbishop of Cashel in Ireland, and the Highlands. February 2nd is, very properly, the day of St. Brigid, formerly the White Goddess, the quickening triple muse. The connection of Rowan with the Candlemas fire feast is shown by Moran MacMain's Ogham in the Book of Ballymote. He gives the poetic name for Rowan as the light of the eye, namely Louisu flame. All right.